Antonella Bruzzese. I'm here together with Isabella Inti, and we are respectively the director and co-director of the Master and Temporary Uses. And together with us this evening there is Massimo Bricoccoli. I'm trying to no, you have probably to direct. No, probably I can do like this. I don't know. No, non so se si vede. Okay. Massimo Bricoccoli is the director of our department, the department in architecture and urban studies at the Politecnico di Milano, and we have also together with us Alessandro Louet, managing director of Poliedra, who is the consortium that is managing the master. Together this evening we will illustrate before going ahead, I would like also to thank you and to let you know that online we have Silvia Arcari and the other colleagues of Poliedra. They are helping us in managing the master. The occasion of tonight is an occasion to illustrate the aims, the content, the organization, and the faculty of our master, the workshop and the internship, and how we will ask the students to prepare their thesis. And regarding the workshop, we will have the pleasure of having with us connected Paola Serrito and Andrea Maspro of Landworks, but they will intervene later. And we will have also the opportunity to describe also the fee, the enrollment, and the grants, the scholarships that we can offer to the student. And in this regard, we will have the pleasure to have with us Andrea Vecchi from Redo, and probably Simone Smargiassi of Inspiro. And the other grant is provided by Fondazione Housing Sociale. And in the end, we will have a moment devoted to questions and answers in order to try to answer to all the doubts and the curiosity and the things that you want to know in order to attend, we hope, to our master. Before starting, I would like to give the floor to our director, Massimo Bricoccoli, to say a few words of introduction and presentation about the role of the master within the education program of our Politecnico. So I try to switch. Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. So welcome to everybody. Good evening. Very glad to be here just to say a few words to introduce the event. And I'm very thankful to Antonella Bruzzese, Isabella Inti for starting this initiative, which is based in our department and organized by Poliedra. It's part of a series of initiatives that we developed with the concept of offering further education at Politecnico di Milano on topics which we think are relevant and can complement the education that you may have with a Master of Science in different disciplines. And I guess that this is one of the tasks, to be open to a variety of profiles and to convey a program which is very much problem and project oriented. So in this case, it's I think it's a very mature interpretation of what temporary uses can be, with reference to a variety of conditions and situations. So I will not spoil the program, but we have been discussing a lot about how a dimension of temporariness can be relevant in architecture and in planning to deal with certainty and fragility and situations in which a project is challenged by a time frame which is not so clearly defined. So I think this is something that our department, we are very keen on, to bridge also different competences, different disciplines, starting from a problem-based issue. So this is what I think the master can contribute in our school, in our university. And so I'm very curious also to see the developments and also the involvement of a variety of colleagues in the program, which is definitely challenging and interesting for us. We already had some experience on these programs, but this is a much more elaborated and interesting perspective. So I will be here for a time just to follow, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Massimo. Thank you to our director, because of course you can imagine this proposal, this master couldn't be possible without the exchange that we had with him. So I will start with the first part of presentation. Then I will leave the floor to Isabella, and just a few words to start illustrating what you can see on our brochure and the material that are online and are available. But in the just trying to answer to the question what MAST is about, what Master on Temporary Uses is about, it's important to start from the main questions that are at the base of our program. So as Professor Bricoccoli said, a master is problem related and problem based kind of master and teaching offer. We will reflect on how, for instance, to activate a temporary use of abandoned spaces, how to accompany over time uncertain regeneration processes on large urban areas, always thinking about the temporary uses and including also the reflection about the inclusiveness, so not only temporary but also inclusive uses, and this has a quite relevant effect quite relevantly on the kind of temporary uses we are talking about. And then we will continue with the new imaginaries, but also public space, landscape, and some other relevant topic related both to post-disaster situation and related to big events. So this is just to say that temporary uses can affect many dimensions of the way in which we think about the transformation of the territory, the city and the territory. And we start from the assumption that temporary uses can be a valuable tool to support the processes of urban transformation, strategies and projects of different kind and different scale. And we are convinced that this master could answer to demands that are arriving from institutional situation, let's say dimension, but also from the market. And the idea is to train different people which will be skilled to work in many different situations, in public administration, in the third sector, in companies and real estate, in companies dealing with the community animation and activation, or in very field of consultancy. And the idea is to train what we can call the reuse agents, expert, designer, activators, manager of temporary uses. So these are profiles that are not, in many cases, very well defined, and we think that with this kind of educational offer, we can also give an important contribution to define better the skills and the profile of this professional working with temporary uses, as I told. Just in terms of technical details, the master is offering 1,050 hours of lecture and activities, is a 60 is going to give 60 CFU, which are credits, and it will last 13 months. So it's quite a long kind of experience, and along these 13 months the activities will be different, and we will include public seminars, and for instance we are working on having an important starting kickoff seminar that we will would like to have open to public, in order to use the master as an opportunity also to open the debate on temporary uses, and not only to train the students, but also to discuss publicly on these topics. We will have lectures, discussion, visit and meetings with realities and professionals dealing with temporary uses. This is important because this master won't be only a face-to-face and online and a teaching experience, but an exchange experience. So the presence of the dialogue with people working and actively on the field would be part of the teaching experience. We will have what we call the realization workshop, so a workshop in which there will be the experience of realizing something together, even if temporary, but working together and discuss with the local association and local and people working in a specific situation. We will have the possibility, ISA, INTI, and then our colleagues, we will enter a bit more into details of the workshop, then an internship and a final paper, because it's still a master, and so we will have also the final paper, which will be different, the thesis, according to the fact that the master of a first or second level. Let me go ahead and give you some elements about the people, the faculty, and the teaching staff. We are very proud of the panel of the professor, let's say, that we will have in our master. We consider them a very high profile international faculty, and what is important for us is the fact that we managed to keep together people from academia, so professor, for instance, Raul Merotra from Harvard, but we have asked also our colleague Aleandra Ravena to be part of the discussion of the master, but other very important professors like Stefano Boeri and other that you can see here, together with practitioners, so people that are not only, some of them are both, are teachers and professional. We will have several people involved, for instance, in the last architectural biennial of architecture, like Fosbury Architecture, so a group of young architects that were have been the curator of the Italian pavilion at the Biennale di Venezia, and but together with them Jan Jongert from to Delft, and also from the Netherlands, and Superuse, and others that you can see here, and beside the professor that we have in the scientific committee that are helping us in defining the master, and they will be part of the modules, as you will see in a minute. Another aspect that I would like to underline as an introduction is the role of the partners and the network. As we said, the idea is to have not only lessons, but also a dialogue between us and the professional involved. And our partners will be institutions like municipalities. We are trying to have as a partner several municipalities, among the others the municipality of Milan, Brescia, Naples, and Turin, and other kind of partners which are from the private field. Some of them are supporting the master with internship, with the possibility of internship or sponsorship, as you will see afterwards. And these are developers or professional firms, and this will be again a possibility to have a network to work together. Our master is divided in three parts, in three parts and 6 different modules. And as we said at the beginning, the idea is to consider the temporary uses in very different way, according to different perspective. So the reuse, major transformation project, landscape, etc. So this is the structure, and I will leave the floor to Isa to go ahead in the presentation of each module.
So great. So now we enter the heart, let's say, of the 3 families and the 6th module. So the first is the one of related to temporary use and abandoned underused spaces. You can see also here the faculties, or there are people already engaged since long time in the way as public administration, like Martin Bramhaar of Bureau Broodplaatsen is the municipality of Amsterdam, is dealing with all abandoned sites owned by the municipality, mapping the site, and then how to give it back as a temporary use project. Or we have people like Markus Bader of Raumlabor Berlin, that in the city of Berlin, since the last 15, 20 years, they have their own office and practice. They are also Golden Lion at the Biennale 2 years ago on this field. So how to regenerate, how to reuse building, architecture, and engage local communities. Because part of this process of temporary use of abandoned and underused space is to test new function, new communities, and give back then not only a space, but a regenerated part of the city. And then other actors important like Jan Jonger, they will explain us somehow all the chain of reuse, also in terms of materials, for example, inside in this process. So rules, public policies, practical buildings and case studies that we are going to also visit here in Milan. The second module is dealing, here there are a few examples of the manual, for example, in Italy of temporary uses, and then images of projects like Made in Mage, for example, that we are going to visit in the Falk former area, in a huge site abandoned in the northern part in the fringe of Milan. Then on the right here, you can see the harvest map mentioned by Superuse in order how to recycle material inside the city to be reused in a project. And then the example of the municipality of Amsterdam, how to map this abandoned site and give it back to local communities. Then the second module is a major urban transformation project and temporary uses. As the beginning, as we said, it's really important not only to understand somehow and to map where are all those abandoned sites, but also large extensive areas sometimes need a long process of regeneration. That means 10, 15, 20 years. So, and the context, political, economical, social environment, and also post-pandemic is really uncertain. So how to design major urban and territorial transformation project with temporary uses is the task of this module. So somehow the expert engaged are for sure our director, also Massimo Bricoccoli, working also with other private companies engaged in the renewal of Sesto San Giovanni in the northern part of Milan, called the old Stalingrad, because over here there were Breda and Falk major industries since the 80s of the past centuries. And over here, as you can see, it's really important to map all the industrial building, maybe abandoned, and then to engage, for example, communities to come back to visit the site. So also the immaterial memory is really important before the intervention on long process of transformation. And here you can see, for example, in other sites in Milan, but also in Florence. So in Milan, you can see the case studies of former rail yards Farini, and you can see the diagram of the timeline, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So how the project of temporary use can fix an ecology and give back to the city, for example, in this case, the abandoned site of the former rail yards. And the realized project of Manifattura Tabacchi in Florence with the investor Redo, for example, that will speak about on it. The third module is landscape and temporary uses. As we said, a large portion of territory that were affected, and they are affected until today, because sometimes are former industrial site, former mining site, so large part of the territories, and how to intervene with landscape design. We know that since the beginning of 2000, there is also an intervening of several disciplines related to landscape and urbanism. In fact, landscape urbanism is the discipline that are telling us that temporary uses are dealing within the process over time. And the process over time is we have to learn how to manage this process over time and understand how to manage this dynamic transformation. So the several experts engaged here are from Politecnico Milan, for example, Professor Antonio Longo, teaching landscape. Then Matthias Armengaud of École Nationale de Versailles of landscape. Then in Germany, Sebastian Schlecht dealing with La Ruhr, so a giant abandoned and now regenerated area from the former mining of coke in Germany, dealing with temporary uses. As mentioned before, Fosbury Architecture, the youngest somehow with landworks dealing with this topic, but also architect activists like Stalker, Piccio Fareri, Francesco Carreri, that they will show us several interventions. So here you can see in the images, for example, several interventions of how to activate an abandoned or semi-abandoned historical park, rediscovering, for example, a temporary installation of a labyrinth in order to organize also events in the landscape to call back several communities in order to experience again those places. And on the left, a more, let's say, didactic, let's say, informative part of a sequence of experts and researchers like Gilles Clément with the text of, important text of the third landscape, or landscape urbanism written by Charles Valdai. Then we have here a parenthesis of, in the meanwhile, we are going to explain later on landscape workshop with Landworks Association, Paola Serritu and Andrea Maspro. So now we just turn quickly the images because we are going to have this incredible opportunity during the master to experience and to realize something in the landscape, and we are going to see, for example, the landscape of Argentiera in the Geomineral Park of Sardinia. Later on, we will be back on these beautiful images. So a fourth module is forms of temporal activation of public spaces. And here is the space public by its nature, or how could become a space a public space. Especially Professor Antonella Bruzzese will deal with this module, but for sure they will be engaged, for example, people related to the public administration of Milan, like Demetrio Scopelliti, head of AMAT, and dealing with this large program of Piazza Aperte, open squares in Milan, that they were converting sometimes traffic corners or near the schools, let's say residual spaces, again in a public space. And then other experts engaged like Chiara Quinzi, Diego Terna, another Italian young firm, and other experts dealing also with the design of a new language for the public space, like Marco Tortoioli Ricci of ISIA. And few examples, for example, are installation on the public space in order to activate sometimes also historical places. This is the square in front of Santa Maria delle Grazie, one of the most beautiful Renaissance church here in Milan, with this module, or on the right, a few examples of tactical urbanism intervention in residual spaces that they became back new public spaces. The fifth module is changing scale, again. So the fifth and the sixth module are changing scale because they are dealing with areas that are affected for big events that could be catastrophic events, like, for example, after an earthquake, after a landslide, after a typhoon. And so what vision, tools and strategies and projects do we need to deal with post-disaster in the in-between time between the emergency phase and the long-term reconstruction? Especially in Italy, we don't have a narrative and several case studies with best practice on this. We have for sure this in-between phase that is not such an in-between phase that is dealing 2 or 3 years. Sometimes is a life cycle. 5, 10 years, 15 years is the life of a teenager, for example. And somehow the bad quality of this in-between new architecture and public space could need new tools. So in this module, we would like to start to give back these new tools thanks to several experts engaged. One is Alejandro Aravena with the office of Elemental. He was dealing in post-catastrophe reconstruction, also with a short amount of investments, how you can intervene. This is one of the topic, but for sure also Andrea Gritti, another professor, part of the scientific committee of Master, and dealing with this topic for several years. And here at Politecnico, we are really proud also to have Valeria Fedeli, that she is the director of the Centro di Competenze Territoriali Antifragili, so Anti-Fragile Center of Competencies. And so it will be an opportunity to deal with this, and also with the expertise, for example, of another great professor here at Politecnico, that is Camillo Magni, that exactly he is working here at Politecnico and outside with his profession with Architects Without Borders. So intervening exactly in post-catastrophe situation in the south of the world, but also here in Italy we have several examples. That's why here on the left you can see several, for example, of disease, of catastrophe related to earthquakes in the last 60 years in all Italy, and also a kind of timeline again of several ways to intervene. So we have to rebuild as it was, where it was, which kind of qualitative temporary architecture and neighborhood we can deal with. So there are temporary infrastructure that will become permanent, or there will be temporary that we can take it off and reuse, for example, in other places. And the images of the photograph Filippo Romano, also engaged in these photographic inquiries, is showing us, for example, the earthquake effect and the temporary reconstruction in the central Italy, in Norcia, with this also temporary architecture. You can see lower part really of low quality, and somehow also the possibility to reinvent new cycle also of recycling the materials that they were, for example, part of the typhoon Vaya. So all this amount of trees fallen down, how we can reinvent a cycle of reuse of materials for this. And the last module is again dealing with great events and the temporary architecture and infrastructure related to this. So we are here also with the great other professor Zachary Jones here in class. We are dealing here at Politecnico with several courses about, we are speaking about Milano Cortina 2026. We are dealing with also smaller scale medium events. Here, for example, Bergamo Brescia 2023. So it's really important to understand that we have several families and of lesson. For example, we are going to have site visits and case studies dealing with temporary used new, for example, housing plot like in the former rail yards of Porta Romana that later on, after the great events, will became permanent as a social housing and a mix of function. Or in other places, we're going to have temporary architecture infrastructure that are going to be removed, and maybe they will leave a plateau with the main basis services. So all these 6 modules, they're going to deal really with several fragility and possibility to learn, we hope, new tools of active intervention. There are other images that thanks also to experts that we engage. Here on the right, we see, for example, a beautiful picture of an intervention in Manifesta, Palermo, run by Ippolito Pestellini, that we will teach also here with one intervention of super ephemeral intervention realized by the architect and artist Matilde Cassani, for example. And on the left, other example of temporary infrastructure and architecture that could become part of a cycle. So we are going to give you this kind of example, site visits and experts that they really realize this kind of intervention, so that you're going to make question, how did you do it? It's possible to do it again. What were also the mistakes and the failure that we can learn in order not to repeat and to go further?
Now, I don't know if Paola
oh yeah,
and Andrea Maspro and Paola Serritu are connected to say something. Yes, maybe yes. Great. So we can go back to the picture about our landscape workshop, and I don't know if Isa, you want to introduce them in order to let them say something more about this experience that we are going to share, and then leave them the floor.
Yes, thank you very much, Andrea Maspero and Paolo Serritu, the founders with Professor Stefan Tischer of Landworks. You're going to tell us all your activities. Anyway, Landworks is an association that is dealing with several intervention of Landworks temporary intervention in the geomineral park of Sardinia. So all those areas, they were part of the mining sites, and now they're abandoned and they became a kind of geomineral park. So what is your activities and how it works at Landworks, Paola and Andrea?
Hi, good afternoon. I think the camera doesn't work because they say there is someone to give me the possibility.
Sorry?
Oh.
Now we see you, both of
Yeah.
you.
Eccoli. Okay.
Ciao. Good afternoon, everybody. We are very happy to be here and being part of this beautiful master. I think we are Paolo Andrea, and with Stefan, we are the founders of Landworks. That is a small association established in 2011 that primarily organize workshop and participatory construction activities in different territories, abandoned territories, through processes involving local communities and institutions all over Sardinia. But in 2018, we decided to establish in Argentiera, that is a former mining village in the northwest part, so nearly Stintino and Alghero, is in the municipality of Sassari, where we tried to begin a urban and territorial regeneration project called Mar Miniera Argentiera to enhance the development of this former mining village, in which only 40 people nowadays lives. So our goal is to transform what once was mining production in a cultural production. So after many years, Mar is now a true hybrid cultural center, as we can call it, hybrid, for cultural production and experimentation. We live here since that time, and with the support of numerous partners, we launched a rich cultural program for every day of the year, like for 365 days in a year. As architects and planners, our main focus is on reclaiming abandoned space and transforming them into lively square, animated by culture and sports, recreational, and what's happened. Last year, we made the Scala, that is the one that you see on the bottom left part, the colorful, that is a cultural space and open air theater next to the Laveria, that is the building of the mining site, the most famous, made it by wood. And this year, on summer, we create the sports center called Frontemare, that is the one on up left part. So next year, thanks to the master, with the support of the master, we hope we would like to consider and to create another space and transforming that place into a new space for the community, involving participants and local community, and also some of you, we hope. So we will hope to have you here in summer season, that maybe is better than now in December. It's very freezing, but wonderful but freezing. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, it would be really great to have this opportunity to share and also to test what we are gonna learn in a specific situation, dealing with having a dialogue with a conversation with the situation, being there for 1 week. So we really hope to manage to be with you and to make to share this experience and to reflect, to use this experience to reflect on the different way in which we can use temporary uses in a project. So now we go very quickly to some technical information. And probably a bit more boring, but necessary, of course. And so some technical information, as I said. Keep in mind that online there are also Silvia Arcari and Francesca Costa and Ilaria that can be answer to your question. I will start with the attendance. As I said, the master will last 13 months. It will be held in English and in a blended mode. So we will be at the Politecnico di Milano, but we will have also some lesson in remotely, so online. The frequency will be 2.5 days a week. So we'll start in May, and for 3 weeks, Thursday, Friday, and half Saturday, we will be working together. The first week or some part of the week will be online, and the other, let's say, weekend will be in presence. And the attendance is compulsory for at least the 75% of the lessons. I will give you some general information. Then we will answer to questions about internship and the final thesis. The master. In the master, you will be asked to have a period of internship between June 2024 and April 2025. The internship could be within public administration. Of course, will be in institution or in companies that are dealing with the regeneration project, dealing with the temporary uses. The internship could be done in public administration, and as I told you before, we are talking now with the municipalities of Brescia, Naples, Milan, and Turin. But of course, we keep on spreading the network and the opportunities. Also, we will be also open to consider opportunities that could arrive from the students, of course, to enlarge the network of possibilities, or in private firms, starting from those who are offering scholarship, but in general, other firms that are part of our network, which is still under construction because it's an ongoing process. Or they could be internship in what we call the internal internship. So internal practice activity done with professor from Polimi or other structures of different kind. The final thesis will be different if the master will be of the first level, of second level. The nature of the thesis will be that the main difference between the two levels of the master. Admission requirements. The first level master course is for candidates with a Bachelor of Science with a laurea triennale. And the second level master is for candidate who has a Master of Science, laurea magistrale, laurea specialistica, in those disciplines, technical and scientific fields of architecture and planning, social humanistic fields with reference to anthropology, cultural heritage, in the economic environmental fields, in communication and marketing, and related disciplines. Of course, the committee will analyze the CV, the resume of and the curriculum vitae of each candidate, and we will consider how related is the profile. And is also, we will consider, of course, people with the professional experience on the same subject. Okay. I arrived to that point. How to apply? You will find all the information on the website, and Poliedra is is helping us. So it's the person, the institution you have to write in order to get all the information. There is an important date, which is January the 8th, which is the deadline for subscription, and you will receive the title of the master. What is important, and we are really happy to communicate this today, is not only the cost of the master, which is already known. It's 11,500 euros that are going to be paid in 3 installments, as you see here. But the fact that we are happy to have different grants and scholarships and some reduction in order to facilitate the participation of students with specific merits. So we will have 4 scholarships, 4 grants that will allow the students to have a reduction of the 50%, 2 reduction at the 30%, 1 at the 20%, and I will say also something about the loan of honor that is for Italian students. I will start from this last one. For Italian students, that there is the possibility to requesting a loan of honor with from a bank, Intesa San Paolo. The Politecnico di Milano has a specific agreement with them. What we are happy to announce this evening is the fact that we have some sponsors, several sponsors, that help us in provide scholarships. 2 scholarships will be provided by Inspiro, and Simone Smargiassi is the person, I don't know if he's gonna present, otherwise Isa will say something. 1 scholarship is provided by Redo, and we should have online Andrea Vecchi, and after I will ask him to say something. Another one by Fondazione Housing Sociale, and these are scholarship given by sponsor, and so it will imply the fact that the candidates will ask the candidates who apply for that scholarship to have a specific attitude towards specific topics. The first one will be post-catastrophe reconstruction, the second one economic sustainability, and the third one social sustainability and social housing, according to the profile of the sponsors. Then we will have 2 reductions by the 30%. So it means that, again, the criteria will be the merit. So we will consider the profile of the candidates in order to give this kind of reduction. And another, let's say, special reduction is for Italian speaker students, because we will ask them a reduction of 20% on the cost of the fee but in change we will ask them to be our tutor to manage the classes and to support our work. We also, it's important to say that other scholarships are under definition, but just because are not defined yet, we cannot communicate them tonight. I don't know if Andrea Vecchi is present online. We cannot see the...
He's here.
Ah, eccolo.
Hi.
Buonasera, Andrea. So let me introduce
Ciao.
Andrea Vecchi from Redo. Redo is a real estate fund management company. I'm reading from the, so I'm not wrong. Committed to creating quality and affordable living spaces for people, which is one of the things that we like most. With a specific focus on affordable housing. So we are happy to have Redo as one of our sponsors. And so I will thank you and leave the floor to Andrea if you want to say something.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I won't be able to attend in person, but I'm not in a very good shape today, as I think many other people are at this time of the year. So, of course, Redo is a private company. We love to support your masters. And we deal with the social housing, affordable housing project, mainly here in Milan. We are also managing the most challenging urban regeneration project under the Reinventing Cities framework. So we mix a lot of challenges, not just the social one, in which we are very experienced, but also the carbonization and the transition and a lot of other environmental challenges in this kind of project. So dealing with the topic of the master, we own some ex-industrial sites that could be interest for the students and for the professors. For example, we own the Sesto San Giovanni area. Isabella Inti showed previously some mapping activities. I think we are in another phases in which we can promote another kind of mapping in the same area, because it's a very polluted site that needs a lot of remediation and decontaminations activities. So it will be a challenge also to give a possibility for temporary uses during these complicated phases. So, of course, for us, using temporary activities is also an opportunity to reflect on the resilience that temporariness could bring if this temporary approach is maintained within the final design, the final project. Another exciting ex-industrial site is ex Macello in Milan. We are managing some temporary uses, and we testing some placemaking strategies in order to activate this previous industrial slaughterhouse and a very big livestock market area after more than 20 years of inactivity. So we are trying to offering citizen opportunities to discover and use the area before the starting of construction. So we are very interested to develop strategies to use this temporary use as a dialogue, as an opportunity for conversation at a very different layer of the project, just because we have a long-term vision. So we are in charge. We are in charge also for all the managing phases of these areas. So one of the most interesting things that we are thinking about is to develop a business unit inside Redo, dedicated to temporary uses within our company. So in every time it will be possible to implement these strategies. So we would like to, of course, involve the students of your masters in internship or in workshop or in visiting our site. So we are very excited to participate in this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrea Vecchi.
Thank
Really.
you. Please, I think you have
Yeah.
to read something from Simone Smargiassi, the other sponsor that who cannot be here, right?
Yeah, let's check if maybe Simone Smargiassi reached the meeting, but maybe not. Okay, if not, for us it's really important, and we hope also really for the participant to have scholarship, of course, but also to have the possibility to start up this dialogue, as Andrea Vecchi was telling about, with private investor and firms that are dealing with the several somehow issues that we were speaking before. So one of the issues that of the sixth module is how to deal with post-disaster temporary and neighborhood architecture and infrastructure. And somehow many companies in central Italy, they were struggling in the last 5-10 years in order to identify also projects that give back a certain qualitative temporary architecture in this time, in the meanwhile, from the in between the emergency phase and the long-term permanent reconstruction. One of these companies is Smargiassi Group with Ispiro, that is set in Fabriano. Simone Smargiassi, he is an architect, and he is the CEO of this company. Now he cannot be here, but he sent me somehow the reason why Ispiro is interested in engaging students of Politecnico of Master of Temporary Uses. So for 3 reasons, I will be short. So they are delighted to present the company as part of the sponsor of the master program at Politecnico di Milano, for 3 reasons. It's important to deal with the climate crisis and catastrophic events. So somehow it's really important to define a new intervention after the emergency phase for temporary housing situation that are giving back maybe also technical solution, for example, for prefab reconstruction in that sense. Another important element is the urgency to rebuild and recreate mostly disintegrated social fabric. So social fabric and local communities. So it's really important to deal after a catastrophe with this urgency to rebuild, and that because rebuild goes beyond the mere repair of buildings. It extends to the need to recreate a disintegrated social fabric, offering solutions that go beyond domestic walls. This is part of somehow of the intervention of Simone Smargiassi that I'm reading. And third, element, really important, is to consolidate experiences and commitment to reconstruction project. So pilot project could become somehow something that could become an innovative practice for the reconstruction. So from this scholarship, he suggests and propose and support the possibility to define temporary solution of good quality with prefab solution that mostly later on they could become maybe permanent solution for other catastrophic events. So thank you, Ispiro, to give this to scholarship in order to provide this kind of temporary solution.
Giordana Ferri from Fondazione Housing Sociale this evening couldn't be present, but I'm happy about the fact that the relationship with our sponsor and the partner is a relationship that is based not only on the money, which we needed and are important, but also on the principle and the idea and sharing this idea and aims, especially to work together. So just to conclude, these are the general for general information and for every information about technical stuff. Here you will find the email